Hey guys! So, Malaysia is on lockdown. I'm sure that's happening for many of you as well. So, we are on the third phase of our lockdown, and this is week 6. And the government has just announced that we're going to be on lockdown for another 2 weeks. And I'm going to be honest, I've been really stressed out by this COVID-19 thing. So I have been just procrastinating, haven't done anything, haven't done any art, haven't done any videos on plants. I've just been stressed out and procrastinating. Just been cooking a lot because the kids are at home, baking a lot. But I think now I feel like I've settled down a little bit after 6 weeks, that is. So today I want to do a video on one of my plants, which is the Monstera Thai Constellation. A couple of you have asked me to talk about this plant, so I'm going to do that now. I actually did a short video, or one of those really fast-paced video on the time when I reported the Thai Constellation, which was around after Chinese New Year, probably beginning of February. And it's actually done quite well after reporting, given me another new leaf. So today, that's what we will talk about, my Thai Constellation. Now I'll show you that video which I made for my Instagram, that fast-paced video I was telling you about, the reporting thing. I'll show it to you here for those of you who is not following me on my Instagram, who have not seen that video. But please follow me now on my Instagram if you can. And I'll also talk a little bit about how I take care of this plant, this beauty here. And I actually made a timeline from when I purchased this plant in June 2018. So I purchased this plant nearly 2 years ago, and it came like a very small plant. It cost me Malaysian ringgit 150 ringgit that time, and it was a small plant. It looked like this. Let me tell you a little story. When I showed off this little plant in a plant group, someone actually commented that, my gosh, you paid 150 ringgit for this thing. I could have given it to you for free. I was like, really? If you can give me another one for free, I will be so happy. And then he showed me the plant that he was going to give me for free, and it was actually a pothos. So I'm like, oh my gosh, this when the Monstera Thai Constellation is a baby, it really looked like a pothos. So I actually bought a pothos for 150 ringgit to a lot of people. But now look at it. Gorgeous, isn't it? Okay, just to give you the idea of how much light this plant gets. So it is situated here in my balcony. Now if I pan up, it is protected by this ceiling. Okay, but if I move out to the ceiling, Now this is the first half of the year. So what I get is I get sun coming from there, and it moves, and you can actually see the sun around there now, and then it sets around there. So for the whole day, I do get sun coming into my balcony to these plants. But at the end of the year, let me bring you out again. The sun moves a few degrees behind my balcony, so the sun is around here. So in the mornings, I don't get the sun. Okay, it moves above my balcony, and I only get sun in the evenings, and it will set around here. So that gives you an idea of what kind of light my plant gets throughout the year. It gets quite a lot of sun first half of the year, which is from 10 o'clock in the morning to sunset. Like the second half of the year, it gets only the sun from the sunset. But having said that, I do get quite bright, diffuse light coming into the balcony. Even though it doesn't get to see the sun, it does get some light coming in. But with diffuse light, I find that this plant produces leaf at a slower rate, which makes sense. Now, it didn't seem to affect the plant when it was a tiny plant, when it was a smaller plant. But as the plant grew bigger, and especially if the leaf has a lot of variegation on it, it seemed to produce the leaf slower. Like from one leaf to another, it took more months in between. Okay, let's talk about substrate. So this plant, when I first potted it, I potted it in aroid substrate, but I added some amount of potting mix, which is soil, into the substrate because I know this plant is going to grow into quite a huge plant. And if it's just potted in aroid substrate, which is just, for me, it's just cocoa chips and leca, or cocoa chips with charcoal, it will most probably topple over when it grows big like this. So I had to add some soil in it just to anchor the plant down. And it seems to adapt quite well into this substrate. So what's in here is actually cocoa chips, leca balls, and just soil. And you can see some old leaves, which is what I do. I usually throw old leaves into my pots and let them just compost naturally into the soil. Okay, let's talk about watering this plant. So it's very hard to tell you how many times I water this plant a week, but I look at two things. Okay, I look at the substrate. If the top of the substrate looks really dry, and if I stick my finger in and it feels dry, I will water the plant. Also, there is another telltale sign. Now, if you look at the green leaves, only the green part of the leaves, if the leaves are flat like that, the plant is still fine. Okay? But if the green leaves become curled up like this, then you know the plant needs some watering. See? If it becomes curled up like that, the green part of the leaves, then the plant needs watering. But naturally, I find the variegated part of the leaves will always curl like that. Now, one more thing to keep in mind with regards to watering is well, initially, because I was afraid that I was going to overwater this precious thing, so I kept the water to a minimum. So I only watered it when it was like bone dry. But I realized that if you don't give the plant enough moisture, it takes longer for leaves to grow. In order for the plant to push out a leaf, it actually needs moisture. So for those of you who are underwaterers because of fear, this is something that you might want to think about. If your plant is putting out leaves really slowly, it might be because you're underwatering the plant. Now, a lot of people must be asking, what's the humidity like if you want to grow this plant? Actually, I find this plant really forgiving. This plant is actually doing very well. Even when the balcony is feeling dry and windy, it's still doing very well. So I have no problems with humidity with this plant, unless if you are living in a four-season country, maybe then you have to take care or look into humidity. But if you are in Malaysia, Singapore, Indonesia, I don't think humidity will be one of your problems. Okay, let's talk about feed now. Currently, this is the feed I'm using. It's a two-part feed. This one with the green top, well, that's how I recognize it anyway. The one with the green top is for foliar. So you can mix this one according to the directions, mix it into water and spray on the leaves. This one is a soil improver. So if you're lazy, you don't want to spray this on the leaf, you can actually mix these two together in water and just pour it into the soil. Actually, that's what I do most of the time. So I find this really good. Initially, I was using Power Feed's dynamic fertilizer and soil conditioner. So this is the one I was using. But now I prefer this one much better. If you're in Malaysia, I will give you a link down at the description and you can buy this. I always get this from Lazada or Shopee. So this is the one I'm using now, and I feed my plants about 2 weeks once when it's really hot. During the monsoon season, when it's not so hot and and the sun is not in my balcony, I feed the plants about 1 month once. And I actually feed my plants less than what is recommended here. So so that I don't have the danger of overfeeding the plant or over fertilizing and creating problems. I actually feed the plants less than what is recommended. But I'm sure it will work just fine if you just follow the recommendations. One other thing, this one smells hell high murder. My kids hate it when I fertilize with this one. It really stings the house up. Smells like rotting fish and durian and drain put together. But it works. One thing I really don't like about variegated plants is they actually go brown on the variegated parts very quickly. Now I think this leaf is about, let me see, 4 months old and is already turning brown. Whereas leaves like that, this leaf is older than this leaf, doesn't really turn brown because the variegated part is just on the top part of the leaf. Now the variegation can come in many layers. It can come in the top layer, the middle layer, or the back layer. So I actually prefer variegation that's on just one layer of the leaf, preferably the top part, because I can see that. I don't really like variegation that is the full leaf, because that's what happens. And many people have asked this question, why are the variegated part of my leaf turning brown? And I've never seen someone give a definitive answer. So it could be because it's too hot, or it's because too wet. Maybe the rain has come on the leaf and the rain has stayed on the tips of the leaf and it's brown the leaf tips. It could be because of over fertilization. When the leaf sweats, it brings all the salts from the fertilizer to the tips of the leaf, and if it doesn't dry fast enough, it will just scorch the leaf like that. So it could be a variety of reasons, but variegated leaves like this, fully variegated leaves, front, back, middle, whatever, will brown pretty quickly, and it can turn ugly quite soon. Look at that. So this leaf basically has brown, and it's just brown into the middle of the leaf. I just cut it off. Okay, there's another example here. So we just, when it starts browning at the edge, it will just eat into the leaf. So all I can do is just cut off the brown parts. But if your variegation is like this, right, only the top part is variegated, the back still has chlorophyll, then the leaf will last a lot longer actually. So that's the problem with variegated plants. I can show you another example. That's what happened to my mycorrhiza as well, my alocasia. Look, it's just browning at the variegated parts. But I think this one I actually burnt it because I changed the place of this plant. I put it just next to, I put it here, so it's just next to the sun. So I guess I made this happen. So I'm putting it back here, back into a little bit of shade. Okay, that's it for now. I will stop here. Looks like there's a big rain coming. Look at that rain cloud there. But before I go, I will leave you with a timeline of my Monstera Thai Constellation. And I will see you again in the next video. For now, stay safe everyone. Bye-bye. I received this plant on the 7th of June 2018, which was nearly 2 years ago, and it looked like a pothos when it came. Now, the first fenestration happened 3 months later, but after that, I have no documentation of leaf 2 and leaf 3. But by leaf 4, you can already see very lovely fenestration on the leaf, and that happened in the following year in February. That's leaf 5. You can see the plant has grown substantially bigger, and leaf 5 happened in April, while leaf 6 came in July. You can already see the middle holes appear on the leaf. Now, I don't have an image of leaf 7, but I know it came in August. This is leaf 8, which happened in January this year, around Chinese New Year. This is also around the time when I reported the plant. This is the latest leaf that appeared for me, which was at the beginning of April this year.